Time and space have lost all meaning, and yet still we look to the future. A future that may never happen if we fail in our mission. We watch to remind us of what we are fighting for. These are the Dino Charge Ranger Logs. Greetings, Ranger fans! Database Ranger reporting in. This is Ranger Log Designation DC01. Powers from the past. We kick off the new season with a chase through space, where we meet a crew of evil aliens, including Stern Warrior Fury, Hapless Mechanic Wrench, and Big Bad Boss Bounty Hunter Sledge, and his terrifyingly adorable fiancée, Poisandra, whose magical voice shoots down the diminutive ship of their quarry, the Keeper, which leads us into our opening sequence full of anime-esque lyrics an oddly refreshing variation on the MMPR theme, and of course tribal chanting. We catch up with the crash-landed Keeper, a fascinating cross between Ferbus and Larigo, with just a dash of Moltor for added flavor, who can talk to T-Rexes and carries around a Roomba full of MacGuffintastic Energems, which Fury is all too happy to snatch away when he comes across the little guy playing possum. Unfortunately for Sledge and the many captured monsters in his Chekhov's cell blocks, the ultimate power of the Energems has been swapped for an unstable power cell, blowing a hole in the side of his ship, ejecting Fury and his pod, and releasing the mint-condition asteroid collection that Sledge had been hauling across the galaxy. Meanwhile, the T-Rex proves to be quite the community organizer by bringing dinos of all shapes and sizes to meet with the Keeper, who entrusts them with the power of the Energems, before Fury catches up to him, followed shortly by Sledge's asteroid collection in a massive extinction event that time skips us forward 65 million years over to present day, where Tyler, our future Red Ranger, is visiting Amber Beach Dinosaur Museum, on the lookout for some volcanic caves from his father's old journal, which the nearby Kiwi Bone Carter is all too happy to help him find.
15 miles north of the city.
Awesome. Thanks.
One dino selfie later, and Tyler heads out, while Bone Carter Chase strikes out with the ladies and heads on over to the Dino Bite Cafe, proving that this is pretty much the most awesome museum ever, and introducing us to our future Pink Ranger,
Shelby,
a clumsy server with high aspirations, who totally blows off her customers.
You didn't need to order, cause I read your minds. Enjoy.
To go try and weasel her way onto the latest dino dig. First with Chase.
Let's just cut to the chase and check out a movie.
Did that line work on New Zealand girls?
Nope, doesn't work on them either.
Then later by bribing the mysteriously brutish Coda with a Bronto burger.
So I can go?
But even her love of Triceratops fun facts can't convince the stern Miss Morgan to allow anyone but the most highly trained professionals on her dig. So instead, she decides to just hop a ride, while Tyler takes Dr. O's repainted Jeep down to Samson Caves, where he dodges magma, runs into a cloaked creature, nabs a dinosaur bone for defense, and finds the rest of said dinosaur discovering a mysterious plastic-covered energem of Jolly Rancher goodness. Topside, Shelby is one happy stowaway, fully convinced that this will somehow lead to her working on the dig instead of promptly getting fired, when the cloaked cave creature suddenly appears and grabs one of the crates off the truck. With the others out of earshot, she decides to chase it down herself, ditching her apron and hat and nabbing the box, getting blasted along the way, and then promptly getting rescued by Tyler and his rope swing from nowhere. After some quick introductions, the creature decides to ditch the Andros routine, leading Tyler to pull out his an entrenching tool to fend off the creature's laser blasts, which works surprisingly well, but only for the short term. So Shelby decides to try holding the crate hostage, which works considerably less well.
What I want will survive. You won't!
Which, oddly enough, they do, just long enough to see a second Energem spill out of the crate. Although that's not quite so impressive as surviving the rapid flash Photoshop freezing at the claws of the creature and subsequent flash defrosting thanks to the pink and red Energems. One dino flashback later, and they're rewarded with a pair of fossilized firearms, which, after a bit of trial and error,
Nice shooting, Tex!
allow them to shoot off a pair of dino-headed energy spirits that morph them into the pink and red Dino Charge Power Rangers.
You look great.
You too!
Leaving them pumped up with power and full of spinning wire food to take on the creature. Until a big red CG T-Rex Zord comes out of nowhere to knock them out of morph and reenact everyone's favorite Jurassic Park scene to send the creature flying before clearing out itself.
Did we just fight an abominable snowman and almost get trampled by a T-Rex?
Yep.
Unfortunately for Shelby, though, Chase and Coda have miraculously not seen any of this and driven off, leaving her to bum a ride with Tyler, who quickly recaps his backstory.
My dad disappeared 10 years ago on an expedition. Just vanished.
Turns out, according to his father's journal, Fury had been stalking him, and unbeknownst to them, 10 years later, the 65-million-year-old baddie has now set his sights on them.
I smell energems.
And that's the end of the episode. So, what did I think of it? Well, it was fun. A lot of fun, actually, but more than that, it was a breath of fresh air. I've spoken before how a proper origin story must address powers, identity, and mission, and although these were all addressed here, they were done so very differently from many past premieres. Every character is given a clear identity in terms of characterization, but the team itself is never presented in full, with the character of Riley being completely absent. The powers are given an origin through the story of the Keeper and Sledge, but the full extent of those powers and the mechanics by which they operate are never properly explained to those wielding them. Tyler and Shelby are each presented with a clear mission as civilians, but have no clue about what their roles will be as Rangers. The result is something that feels less like a complete origin story and more like the beginnings of one, introducing the key players while leaving the full scope of the story to be unveiled over time. Now, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen, but there is one thing I would like to point out here. One of the major problems of the last 4 seasons has been the erosion of trust. And it's not just because of slavishly following the Sentai or the complete collapse of continuity. Although, let's face it, if continuity weren't a problem, I wouldn't be in the situation I am now. No, the loss of trust stems from the persistent failure to address concepts and questions, despite repeated promises that
All will be revealed in time.
or
There's a simple explanation for that.
and here is where this premiere really excels in building trust. We question the green cluster following Sledge's ship. We later learn that it's his asteroid collection, and sure enough we receive confirmation that those are in fact the asteroids that wipe out the dinosaurs. We speculate that the monsters held captive on his ship will later be used as the monsters of the series, and sure enough one of the most prominent ones acts as the Rangers' first adversary. We wonder what the red crystal is in the wreckage of the Keeper's ship, and it turns out to be the bomb that takes out Sledge. This repeated use of the Chekhov's gun approach instills in the viewer a sense that questions and concepts are introduced with purpose, and with the intent of being answered or followed up on. Which is great because this episode leaves us with a lot of them. Not only are there the clear overarching stories of Tyler finding his father and Shelby becoming a paleontologist, nor the more immediate mystery of what happened to Sledge's crew and the Energems during the 65 million year time skip, but also the question of what sort of character depth may be hiding under the surface for Chase, Coda, and Miss Morgan, who are all hinted at being more than meets the eye. And the fact that we still haven't seen the rest of the team in action just further reinforces that we will get these questions answered, since we know by virtue of the format of the series that they will have to be addressed. And beyond that, we not only get 2 completely original creature characters in the form of Sledge and the Keeper, but this is also the first time in recent memory that we've had an episode with absolutely no Sentai footage. Zero, zip, nada outside of the opening credits, which also sends the clear message that this season will not be using its source material as a crutch or an excuse, allowing the show to either fail or succeed on its own merits. Overall, this may not be the best premiere ever, as it does still have a few nonsensical aspects, like Tyler swinging in out of nowhere, and Sledge collecting criminals instead of turning them in, and other similarly minor nitpicks. And although it does lack for some of the more spectacular battle sequences that many premieres are known for, the clear focus on crafting a story for the long term does make for an impressive and intriguing introduction. But only time will tell if this season is truly able to deliver on its promise. So until my next entry, this is Database Ranger signing off. Farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect us all.